news at 4. First, the highlights. Lagos State government warns against attacks on law enforcement officers within central business districts. President Tinubu approves recruitment of armed guards to reclaim forests. On the foreign scene, President Trump confirms India's willingness to drop tariffs on United States goods. And in sports, FIFA targets $1 billion revenue from Women's World Cup. And now the details. I am Akan Usen. The Lagos State government has warned that any resident of the state who attacks its law enforcement officers on duty, especially officers of the Central Business District (CBD), will face the full wrath of the law. While speaking at the ongoing ministerial press briefing at Alausa, Ikeja, Special Advisor to the Governor on Central Business District, Olumegbon Lawal, hinted that 3 people have been prosecuted for attacking officials during the course of their duties. The special advisor, who noted that the Lagos Island and Ikeja CBD have been opened to business, appealed to traders and other relevant stakeholders to take ownership of infrastructure in their domain and protect them from vandals, with a call to obey all traffic rules.
I want to use this opportunity to appeal to our stakeholders, especially different transport unions, market associations, and CDAs, to obey all traffic, environmental, and physical planning laws of the state. By doing so, there will be less friction between the agency's enforcement team and our stakeholders.
Olumegbon Lawal also said in the period under review, 926 vehicles and 33 tricycles were impounded for various traffic offences ranging from illegal parking, one-way driving and obstruction of traffic. Our correspondent Adjola Akinlele quotes the Special Advisor CBD as warning against street trading, stressing that any good confiscated will not be released, while 5 CBD officers are also undergoing disciplinary action for gross misconduct to serve as a deterrent to others. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Lagos Waste Management Authority, Loma Muiwa Badigeshi, has encouraged Lagos residents to stop discarding waste but tap into vast economic value by embracing recycling and circular economy. He said this in his office at Ijora Olokpa while interacting with a team of journalists who sought his views on the future of waste management in the state. But again, she pointed out that what people call waste is actually not waste, but money, and it should not be thrown away, noting that many people are making a good living from collecting waste materials and selling to recycling companies at good rates. He highlighted Loma's long-running campaign for every household in the city to have separate bins for general waste and for recyclables like paper, PET bottles, cans and textiles, which recyclers will collect and give money or something of value in return. Lagos State government has restricted working hours at building sites statewide to the hours of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday. This was announced by the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Oluyinka Olumide, in Alausa. Olumide said the restriction order must be strictly adhered to by all those involved in building construction in the state, as relevant government agencies would enforce compliance. He said concession to work outside these hours could be granted, subject to a formal application that would be treated on its merits. Olumide said the move to restrict working hours at building sites was expedient to protect the environment, combat building collapse, and promote social well-being and wellness. He urged residents to report any site found to be violating the order. The Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Ahmed Audi, has called for a more effective synergy among security agencies in adopting the 3C's approach: coordination, cooperation, and collaboration, as a means to strengthen resilience against the country's growing security challenges. Audi made this known at the Government House, Sokoto, shortly after paying a courtesy visit to Governor Ahmed Aliyu. He emphasized that the 3C's are critical in addressing the deteriorating security situation in Nigeria, insisting that all relevant stakeholders must work together. Audi stated that the country demands collective efforts and synergy, as no single agency has a monopoly on strategy. And now to the rest of the stories. In a decisive move to bolster national security and reclaim Nigeria's vast forest lands from criminal elements, President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment and the deployment of a new unit of forest guards. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Diary, the initiative is aimed at flushing out terrorists and criminal gangs who have used Nigeria's 1,129 forests as safe havens. According to Diary via X, the recruitment drive will be carried out through a coordinated effort between the federal and state government, with oversight provided by the Office of the National Security Advisor, or NSA, and the Ministry of Environment. The President directed the new forest guards be professionally trained and properly armed to meet the security challenges within the country's forests, many of which have been exploited by kidnappers, bandits, and insurgents in recent years. President Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to securing every inch of Nigeria's territory, declaring that no part of the country will be abandoned to lawlessness. The Senate has confirmed the appointment of 5 resident electoral commissioners submitted by President Bola Tinubu in March for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The confirmation followed the receipt and consideration of a report by the chairman of Senate Committee on Electoral Matters during plenary. Presenting the report on behalf of the committee, the senator representing Plateau South Senatorial District, Simon Lalong, urged the Senate to confirm the nomination of 5 individuals as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission, having passed the screening exercise. The approved recs are Umar Garba, Kano State; Saad Idris, Bauchi State; Chukwuemeka Ibeziako, Anambra State; Umar Mukhtar, Borno State; and Johnson Sinikiem, Bayelsa State. And now to foreign news. United States President Donald Trump says that India has offered to drop all tariffs on goods imported from the U.S. President Trump said at an event in Doha that the Indian government has offered a deal where basically they are willing to literally charge no tariffs on the United States, stressing that India and the United States are currently in talks to negotiate a trade agreement. According to reports, President Trump also said he had told Apple CEO Tim Cook not to expand production in India. In an earnings call earlier this month, Apple had said it was shifting production of most iPhones from China to India, while Vietnam would be a major production hub for items such as iPads and Apple Watches. President Trump slapped tariffs of up to 27% on Indian goods in April, while Delhi is rushing to negotiate a trade deal during Trump's 90-day pause on higher tariffs, which ends on the 9th of July. And now sports. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the global soccer governing body is targeting $1 billion in revenue from the Women's World Cup at the Saudi Arabia United States Investment Forum 2025 in Riyadh. The 2023 Women's World Cup, hosted by Australia and New Zealand, broke even after generating more than $574 million in revenue. Infantino said the next Women's World Cup in 2027 will be hosted by Brazil, making it the first edition be held in South America. The United States is poised to be named host of the 2031 edition, which will be expanded to 48 teams from 32. Infantino also added that there is massive potential for football to generate more revenue outside Europe. And that's all for the news. At 4, maintain adequate distance from the vehicle ahead of you to avoid collision. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. On X at Traffic Radio 961, Facebook Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram Lagos Traffic Radio 961. On YouTube, subscribe and watch us live on our channel Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website on www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that under the Sanwo-Olu administration, 18,000 teachers were trained on Eco Excel? You can get more details on the Lagos State government's website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. The Lagos State government has warned that any resident of the state who attacks its law enforcement officers on duty, especially the officers of the Central Business District, CBD, will face the full wrath of the law. In a decisive move to bolster national security and reclaim Nigeria's vast forest lands from criminal elements, President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment and deployment of a new unit of forest guards. They also told you that the United States President Donald Trump says that India has offered to drop all tariffs on goods imported from the U.S. And in sports, FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the global soccer governing body is targeting $1 billion in revenue from the Women's World Cup at the Saudi Arabia United States Investment Forum 2025 in Riyadh. For contact with the newsroom, please send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. And that ends the news broadcast compiled by Mojid Ololade. I am Akan Usen. Thanks for listening and please stay safe. Good afternoon.